Notice what it might take for you to get comfortable in a seated position. So the willingness to use whatever props you might need. I'm sitting on a block and a blanket. If you have a bolster, that can be really nice. And what we're really looking for is to support our low backs and to create some ease in our hips and our knees. For some people, it may be having the legs extended. And if that's the case, I'd recommend putting 2 fascia balls underneath your knees or a rolled blanket underneath the knees. Because sometimes, especially if it's because of knee issues, they're kind of hanging out, and that could cause stress. Whenever we're trying to find a comfortable position, we're doing so that we can let go of the body distracting us. It's hard to get quiet and go within and center if we've got something bothering us or creating some pain or discomfort. And from here, I'm going to invite you to place your palms down on your thighs, or wherever you'd like to rest, but just palms down. And if you're able to, we draw the arm bones back slightly so that they hang off the shoulders closer to the side body. And imagine from the head down, we're going to go from the 7th chakra, the crown of the head, and move down energetically, bring your attention, eyes softly closed, down through the spine as you connect into the earth. So let's go down first into her nourishment. And feel any tension in the body give way a little bit, or relax a bit, or melt away. So often, unconsciously, we hold on to things in the physical body is what's holding on to it, whether it's old beliefs or thoughts or some fear or negative thoughts, whatever it might be, and our body's holding on to this. So just without trying to figure out what that may be, just invite the body to relax and move down. And then as we begin to relax into our bodies in whatever shape they're showing up today, we can now have a sense of drawing in what we need. And again, you don't have to have a specific idea at all. It's just an intention to draw in any healing or nourishment that you might need up through the spine and bring that energy up so that you feel that assistance, that guidance or that support in your seat. Be aware of the quality of your breath today. Noticing if there's any congestion, or if the breath is smooth and open. Begin to lengthen out the inhale, breathing in through both nostrils, filling up, and it's comfortable, so nothing's forced, you're not overfilling. Pause for a moment in that fullness. Allow that prana to spread, to move all the way to fingers and toes and the cells of your being. And then slowly let the breath out. Again, through the nose. And allow the breath to come right back in. Filling, filling, and filling all the way to the top. Pausing there. Allow that prana to spread throughout your being, and then when you're ready, very slowly just let it out. And we're not releasing the prana, but we're just relaxing into the breath, relaxing into that prana. That same idea when the breath exits, it's just a letting go into the body, softening into your seat, there's a softening that occurs within. Right? This practice is an inner journey, ultimately. To find an evenness between the flow. So even with our breath, we often think of flow having to be a movement in the body, but it can be a smooth connection between the inhale into the exhale and the exhale into the inhale, a smooth flow of breath. We can find a smooth flow in our daily activities, and a smooth flow in our thoughts where we don't get hung up on any one idea or belief. So I'd like to guide you into a little bit of a pranayama practice this morning, so some breath work. And this, what we're going to do first is a breath that kind of brings in a little bit of energy. Let's take advantage of the morning. It's a little cooler now before we get into the heat of the day in which we need to then rest and stay out of the heat. And so what we're going to be doing is you're going to take a full breath in. And matter of fact, let's go ahead and place our palms on our bellies. Right, one palm on top of the other, and the lower belly below the belly button. And let's invite our belly to move with our breath here for a moment. So you can feel it expand on inhale, and then gently contract on exhale. Begin to actively draw the navel or draw the belly back towards the spine on that exhale. So here we're going to start connecting into our abdominal region just with this breath. So we inhale, it expands, and then exhale, actively draw that belly in, back, and even slightly up. So you're really completing that breath. You're letting out as much air as you can. And then the expansion of the belly just lets the breath move back in. So think of a bellows, right? The device we used to long ago for the fireplace. We open it, it lets the breath in, close it, and it squeezes the breath out. So think of your belly as a bellows. It opens on the inhale and then squeeze the breath out on the exhale. Okay, now you can stay here and just practice right here, very slow bellows. And then the next place I'll invite you to come into if you choose is the inhale is the same. We let the belly expand. And then the exhale is more forceful. So as you draw the belly back, you're really in one kind of explosive exhale. You're letting the breath all the way out as you draw that navel back and up, right? So we inhale, expand, and then exhale. And then we inhale, nice, long, smooth inhale. And then a forceful exhale. And it's all out through the nose. Empty, 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 and then open up and let the breath in. And we can do one more. And then let the breath go. Let any shaping of the breath go. Bring the backs of your hands to your thighs, palms up. And feel the echo of that very brief bellows breath there. Kind of a slower version. You might have felt something up in the brain. You might have felt the temperature of your body change. You might notice the energy beneath the skin. So really The most powerful practices in yoga are our breath work and our meditation. In regards to results that we carry into our day, those two actually have more effect, a deeper effect in our being than just the postures. And so it took me a long time to feel that and to connect into that. Be patient with yourself and meet yourself right where you are if the experience was different for you. It doesn't make it bad. Okay, so we're going to take that breath now and we're going to speed it up a little bit. And we're going to do 20 rounds. We fill up with air. We, again, expand the belly, let the inhale fill you up. And then what we'll do is little micro movements. We're going to exhale, and then you relax on the inhale. You let the belly expand on the inhale and then contract again. Expand, contract, expand, contract. It's like a bellows moving really quickly. So as soon as you open the handles, the air comes back in, you close it, the air exits. And you're going to do this with this particular breath. And it's same idea to bring in energy, and you want to pay attention to what's going on in the brain. If you get too lightheaded, stop and just let the breath flow on its own. Okay, so we'll do the first together, and you're going to do 20 quick exhales, and in between those exhales you let a little breath back in. Okay, so we'll do the first round. You can keep your hands on your belly or bring them back there if you'd like. Empty the breath out completely. Take a long, smooth, deep breath in, and then we'll move 20 quick exhales together. And then pause, let the breath in, hold at the top of the breath, and then slowly let it out. We're going to do that 2 more times. Take a deep breath in and 20 quick exhales. Fill up, pause, and let the breath out slowly. And one more time, just like that. Deep breath in. Fill up. Hold at the top. And slowly let it out. Release the back of the hands to the thighs again, palms up. Let the breath find its own natural rhythm and feel the echo of that practice. Just notice the sensations, whatever it is for you. That brings energy into the body. It stimulates our minds, our brains a bit, like for thinking, and it's a really powerful breath to also at the same time, which sounds contradictory, but at the same time it quiets things down. So it opens our perception, but quiets that busy monkey mind. Right? Creates warmth, and it's also very stimulating for the digestive system. Bring your attention into the heart space. And allow the heart to breathe. Feel the heart breathing. You're giving and receiving energy from the heart. And I'm going to share with you a reading from the Book of Awakening to begin the practice this morning. And it's actually today's date of June 22nd. It's called Spiritual Fishing. Honesty is the net by which we fish the deep. Though we are taught to make plans and keep to them, and though we work our way through pre-designed courses of study to receive credentials and degrees, our attempts at real living don't happen this way. For me, finding where I fit in the world feels a lot like spiritual fishing. The vast, mysterious ocean of experience keeps calling, and whether it is by buckets of questions or nets of honesty, I keep hauling up food from the days. I keep hauling in shells and pearls and seaweed from a common depth that no one can see. And then I spend time cleaning what I found and hearing what it has to say. In this way, everyone alive must fish, and this requires stillness and patience and a willingness to drift, for we never know where deep things live. Even our effort to know ourselves resembles this process, for much of who we are lives cleanly below the surface, and we each must be nourished from what lives below if we are to survive. Paradoxically, our essential feelings and personal truths live below like fish, not wanting to be caught. But spiritual fishing yields spiritual food, and the secret nourishment of eating what lives within us is that to eat what lives in our shell, we must open to that shell. And eating what swims below our surface lets us see with the perspective of the deep. In truth, every person I have ever loved and every path I have been called to has shown itself to me after fishing in the waters of my spirit, which, entered deep enough, is the ocean of all spirit. I believe we are all connected there, and only by this communion of bringing up and taking in what lives within us can we hope to uncover our common purpose of being. In committing to this honest practice, wisdom becomes that very good net of mindful heart through which we rinse and claim the smallest of shells, those hidden casings that hold both food and pearls. So may this practice be part of your fishing in the deep. This practice we engage with on our mats is that inner spiritual journey, finding that nourishment from within, finding what it is that we need for ourselves, what we want to bring back into the world, and it happens from inside first. And that's where we connect into that Vijnana Maya Kosha, that inner wisdom. So may that guide your choices you make for yourself this morning as we move together. So softly open the eyes, and we did have a request for feet. So let's go ahead and just kind of start our feet with our feet and taking a moment to just massage them. And by the looks of my feet, it's very obvious I've been in the garden already. All right, so just putting a little love there and all that they do for us. Just kind of waking them up, and you can kind of spread the toes back. You might want to massage the top of the feet a little bit, going through the metatarsals. Look at those fine little bones there. Massaging through the tips of the toes. And if you find a tender spot, you might want to hold gently there. Just breathe into it. Good, and then let's go ahead and switch. Let's check out the other foot and give it the equal love and just massaging. Because I love being barefoot so much, I have to say my feet pretty much are perpetually dirty all summer long. It's just kind of the way it is, but I love the dirt. You can also, I've mentioned in the past, you can also use essential oils on your feet that are really nice for the energies that they have. Placing lavender or even vetiver at the bottom of your feet, just a little drop of each feet at night, can be very relaxing, just so you know. Okay, so from here, come back to your seat just for a moment longer, and we'll place our palms down on our thighs. And then from here, let's just come into a seated cat-cow, making this as big or small as you wish, but exhale, rounding, inhaling, lift and open. So just finding some gentle movement through the spine and playing here a little bit. You can kind of move back and forth in a little bit of a twist, taking one shoulder to the opposite knee if you want. So you're moving into the cat-cow, rounding the spine and moving that shoulder to the opposite knee a bit, coming back upright. It's just an option. You can stay center with this and not twist at all. And notice as you play with your core here, as you exhale and come into that cat pose, draw that navel really actively back towards the spine, just like we were doing in that pranayama practice, right? And then as you inhale and we open the heart and we expand the spine, maybe relax the belly there, and then exhale and contract it. How does that feel? And these are these little nuances that we can play with in the practice and discover, right? So we're really being curious about ourselves. It's that inner journey as well. What makes us tick? What motivates our choices? What colors those motivations? Where do they come from? And then from here, come upright and start to just roll the shoulders. And then let's roll them up and back and down. Right, so it works on opening the chest a little bit. And then the next time the shoulders run down the upper back, release the right ear to the right shoulder. Take a few deep breaths to the left side of the neck. Feel that stretch. You can hang the left arm off the side body or walk the fingertips out away from you. Feel that stretch down into the shoulder and even down to the upper arm, maybe even farther for you. And then you can play with this a little bit by just ever so slightly changing the position of the chin. Right? If I drop my chin down a little bit lower, it changes where I'm feeling it in the neck, or I can lift it slightly. Feel it now more through the shoulder. Right? So just noticing where you feel it. You might find that just right stretch and breathe into that. Just take 3 more breaths here. Bring that left hand back to your lap and switch sides, left ear to left shoulder. Notice what's going on in this side of the neck. If you can, release the hand off the side. Let the arm hang by your side, or even walk the fingertips out. Play with the chin. And then bring that right hand back to your lap, neck up to neutral. Remove anything you're sitting on. Let's find our way to hands and knees. You might want if you have 2 blocks, you might want to bring them close by. If you don't have blocks and you live locally and you want to come by and get some, I still have props available from the studio. So placing your palms at the front of your mat, just really anchoring in there. Draw the navel to the spine so you feel that support in the low back. And then we'll do our cat-cow here, just a few rounds, just to notice the difference moving here versus from seated. What is it that you notice? Do you have a little bit more range of motion, or does it just feel differently in the spine? Just whatever it might be. And then we'll take this into our Chakravakasana. So we're going to move right into some slow flow here. So the next exhale will draw you back into child's pose. And the inhale back to knees. And so we don't want to create too much heat. We already have a lot of heat going on since it's summertime. So we're keeping this slow and mindful, and yet still enjoying the movement, staying present, closing the eyes if you feel safe where you are to do so. It helps us to stay in that inner journey. Less distraction in wherever you're set up. And then the next time you exhale, we'll find our first down dog of the day. Could be the first down dog, maybe not. Curl the toes under, take the tailbone high into the sky. Let's take our first dogs for a walk. So just kind of moving around in the body in any way that works for you, bending the knees, the heels come in and out of the floor. We move through the spine and the shoulders. You're welcome to pull forward into plank pose, getting a little ab work there for sure for that request. And draw back again. And then eventually releasing back to the knees. And child's pose, exhale. We're going to come right back up. Inhale, curl the toes under, and exhale, down dog. So just start to move in your flow, very slowly, pose to pose. We inhale to knees, and alternately exhale between child's pose and down dog. Mindful movement with the breath. Next time you find your way into a child's pose, pause. Take a few deep breaths into the back body. And then we'll go ahead, come back up to hands and knees. Let's bring the right foot up to the front of our mats. Just do a nice little well-rounded practice today. We'll find our lunge rock. So we inhale as we come forward and softly release into that left hip flexor. And then exhale, draw back. You might take the right toes up off the floor as you straighten the leg. And then come back, move forward, lift the heart, nice inhale. Exhale, rock back into stretching in the hamstring there. Forward and back. And then the next time you come forward, let's go ahead and I'm in more of a neutral position here for a moment. So I'm not dropping into my hip flexor at this time. I'm going to take my right heel and my left knee, I'm going to press them down and then try to pull them together. Okay, so I'm bringing my heel back, my knee forward, just slightly. Okay, so you kind of get that lift through the core. And I'm going to maintain that action and slowly find that stretch in the hip flexor. Okay, so we had a stretch request, so I want to honor that. And just find that gentle stretch in that hip flexor with that actively, that heel and the knee pressing down and towards each other. And that protects that hip flexor from dropping in too far to the stretch and pulling it. It's a very easy muscle to pull. So we want to be mindful of that. then exhale, start to come out and lift up out of the pose. We're going to draw back into that hamstring stretch. If you're using blocks, you might want to bring them back with you. And if you bring the toes up off the floor, you're going to feel that stretch more in the calf and the Achilles. If you keep the toes pointed, you're going to feel a stretch to the shin. You're going to feel that front of the leg. It's up to you. Either way is fine. And we're moving into a stretch to the back of that right leg. So let's lengthen that hamstring attachment, and rather than rounding the spine under and coming into a posterior tilt, reverse that. So you're almost like you're trying to create a back bend. Really, it's going to be barely in neutral because we are in a forward fold, but you'll feel that you may need to bend the knee more, or you have to back off on the stretch a little bit. And you know you got it. Breathe here. And then slowly release out of that. Let's walk the blocks forward if you're using them, or your hands. Bring them off the mat for a moment. And we're going to find that low lunge where we isometrically pull the heel and the knee towards each other again, and then come on up to the lunge. And let's find a twist together. So we're going to go ahead and take the left hand to the outer edge of that right knee, right hand to your sacrum. Okay. Really lengthen the spine. Keep that action in the heel and the knee. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. And then from here, the knee, the hand and the knee are pressing into each other. That action starts to create the twist. So you're bringing yourself around to the right, and the right, you're gazing out the right shoulder. So you can rotate your head all the way around if that feels okay in your neck. Nice, deep, steady breaths here. And then slowly unwind. Place both hands on either side of that foot, the front of your mat, and press back into down dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Just kind of walking out your dog. Then you're going to pull forward into plank pose. Okay, so if finding the body parallel with the floor in plank is a bit too much for you, you can bring the knees down, and the farther the knees are behind the hips, the more challenging this is, right? The closer I bring them up towards my hands, the less I'm in a plank. Right, so, but if you really want a nice strong pose, then we bring the knees up off the floor. Hug that core in. Hands are directly underneath the shoulders, shoulder width apart. Hug everything in. Breathe. And then on your next exhale, press back into down dog. Walk that out a bit. Come all the way to the knees and back into a child's pose. Drop in, just take a few breaths here. Really let go and just relax into the pose. Just a full surrender, a softening. Just a releasing of the effort for a bit. So we'll come back up to hands and knees. This time the left foot steps forward. If you're using blocks, you're welcome to place them there, either side. And we'll just do our lunge rock again. We inhale forward, lift the heart. Exhale, draw back. Inhaling. And exhale. What's different on this side? Just really checking in now with the right hip flexor, left hamstring. As you come forward next time, go ahead and now find more of a neutral position like we did on the first side. Press down with the knee and the heel, and then try to pull them towards one another. Feel that kind of lift that occurs in the core, and keep the core engaged. And then from here, just softly release into that right hip flexor. Check out the alignment of your knee, okay, because we do want to make sure it's not coming out in front of the toes. And I forgot to mention that on the first side. But that helps to protect the knee. And just breathe, a couple more breaths here in that hip flexor. And then release that, start to draw back. You can walk your hands and or your blocks with you. The toes can stay pointed or up off the floor. Finding the stretch behind the back of the left leg. And then find the pelvis, right? So instead of tucking the tailbone under, reverse that. Try to lengthen out that low back, anterior tip, and breathe here. Walk everything forward, bend the front knee, move the blocks out of the way. Come up to your low lunge. Pull that knee and heel together. You can release into that hip flexor again if you want to. We are going to come into a twist. So the right hand to the outer edge of that left knee, left hand to your sacrum. Find the length in your spine first. So lift, open the heart, and let the action of the knee and the hand pressing together create the movement around to the left, your twist. Maybe even the gaze out through the back shoulder, and breathe. And then slowly unwind. Place both hands at the front of your mat. Press back into down dog. Maybe walk that out a bit. And then again, you're going to find your version of plank pose this morning. Maybe the knees come to the floor, maybe they don't. And hold and breathe here. Navel to spine. Everything's strong. If you're in full plank, the body's parallel with the floor. No butts up in the air. Try to do the best you can, getting the shoulder blades onto the back body. On your next exhale, press back into down dog. Onto the knees, inhale. Release back into child's pose, exhale. Let go. Take a few deep breaths into the back body. Feel the practice so far and the choices you're making for yourself. There's been options along the way. So just observe, no judgment. You just want to notice, how is the body responding? What about my heart, my mind? And so we're always inquiring within, checking in. We can deepen our intuition when we take these moments to pause and listen. Inhale back to hands and knees. Right foot comes forward. Okay, we're going to come in and enjoy a warrior two here. So go ahead and bring that left knee off the floor and anchor that left heel in the floor. Okay, we'll bring our right forearm, just to assist us, our right forearm to the right thigh. Press down through that right foot and slowly come up into a warrior two. So go ahead right into the pose. We can make some adjustments as we go along here. Look at the back foot, the back leg. You should be able to see down that whole leg. So notice if that left hip pops forward, then now you can't really see, your vision is stuck at that hip. So draw it back so you can see the whole length of that leg. And then we check out the front leg, and we want to make sure the knee stays over the ankle. So press to the outer edge of that right foot, and it'll prevent the knee from dropping in. Okay? And then the other tendency is to lean into this when we want the spine tall. Spine stays upright. And then the arms float up if they haven't already, shoulder height, palms down, and we shift the gaze out over the right fingertips. Find your breath. Nice strong pose. Stretch through the hip flexor a bit. Core is engaged. Draw the navel to the spine. Breath flows. Go ahead and straighten the front leg, release the arms. All right. And we're going to come into a triangle pose, which I find more of a stretch than a strengthening pose. You might want the block, that's up to you. You can place a block. You've got 3 levels to your blocks, right by the ankle. Okay, that's an option. Some of you may not need it at all. Okay, so it depends on the range of motion and flexibility you have in your right hamstring. Let's keep the left hand on your hip for now. We're going to extend the right arm out, shoulder height. And I want you to just notice the shifting of the hips. Okay, so it's not about releasing into the side body. It's about shifting this left hip back. So I'm lengthening that right side body. I'm really reaching out, straight out in front of me until I can't reach any farther. And then I'm going to let that right hand find its place. Right now it's just below my knee. And I'm going to press the back of the hand into my shin to open my heart, right? So you want to feel as if the back body was up flat against the wall. And then maybe you can start to lower. I'll bring my hand to the block. I'm going to continue to open my heart. If you know that you have hyperextension in your joints, make sure you're not locking into your knee joints. And I know a few of you in class this morning do that, so just kind of take a look at that. And then from here you can decide, you want to keep your left hand on your hip or extend the arm straight up. And then the last option is to shift the gaze up to the ceiling to the left fingertips. So we're in a nice stretch in that front leg. We're lengthening the spine. This pose is very much about opening and lengthening. So there's a sense of expansiveness in this pose. Keep the core engaged, breath flowing. To release out of the pose, let the left arm go. Start to rotate towards that right foot. Rotate the left heel off the floor. Okay. Press back into down dog. Pedal the feet, walk that out a little bit. And then again, pull forward into our plank pose. Let's get that ab work. Draw the navel to spine. Press the heels back. Hands directly underneath the shoulders. Hug everything in. Breathe. You're looking straight down to the floor between your hands. Keep the back of the neck extended. On your next exhale, press back into down dog. Inhale to the knees. Release into a child's pose. I'm going to turn around. And then go ahead and come on up. And now we're going to go ahead and step the left foot forward. And then we're going to bring that right knee off the floor. We're going to find our warrior two, the foundation first. So anchor the back, that right foot in the floor. The front knee is bent. Bring your left forearm to the thigh just to help you up. Engage, use your core as well to come all the way up into warrior two. So you might want to release the hands as you come into your foundation, or you might have just dropped right into your pose. All the same principles apply. So can you see the entire length of that right leg, or is that right hip popping way forward? And how about that left knee? Is it staying aligned over the ankle? And then where's the spine in space? Are you leaning forward or is it upright? Right, and then core is engaged, draw that energy up and the arms float up shoulder height. And take your gaze out through the left fingertips. Steady breath, strong core, strong pose, belief in self. Moving into the world with confidence instead of fear. And that's could be probably one of the most important things we can do right now. Go ahead and straighten the front leg and relax the arms. Okay, so we'll find triangle pose now. Decide whether you want to use a block on this side. Okay, so the legs are going to stay straight in triangle pose. Right. Keep the right hand on your hip. Bring the left arm shoulder height. Again, that shift, hip shifting. So we're drawing that right hip back, right? So we're folding into the hip flexor, not the waist. So we're going to reach through with those left fingertips. Reach out. Keep that length in the left side body. Reaching as far as you can, and then release the back of the hand to the shin or maybe to the block. Noticing if you can keep the heart open. So oftentimes when we want to reach farther towards our foot, we have to compensate by closing the front body to do so, or we're bending into the knee to do so. So make those modifications. Use a block or come up higher so you feel that sense of expansiveness in the pose. Right arm can reach up to the ceiling, and the gaze can shift up to the right fingertips. Doesn't have to. If the neck's not feeling it today, don't do it. Keep your core engaged. Nice, long, smooth, extended breaths. then slowly unwind. Rotate that right heel off the floor. Place both hands at the front of your mat. Press back into down dog. Walk that out a bit. And here we go, one more time. Plank pose if you have it in you. Pull forward. Draw the navel to spine, hug everything in, and breathe. Those of you who want to challenge yourselves even more, bring one foot off the floor. Maybe take 2 or 3 breaths there, then switch. Up to you. And then on your next exhale, press back into down dog. Inhale to knees. And release into balasana or child's pose. Draw back and let go. All right, so let's go ahead, come on up, and we're gonna find our way onto our backs. Please have your strap with you. If you don't have one, you can modify. And then I think all of you today also has fascia balls, so have those nearby. And we're gonna start with our straps. We're gonna do some more stretching here a bit. And we're also gonna do a little more core. But we're gonna start with the stretching. Actually, you know what? We're gonna start with some hips. Let's start with our hip stretch instead of a hamstring. We've done hamstrings already. So place the right ankle on the left knee, or figure 4. I think we all know this one well. If you notice any sensitivities in the knee, sometimes with this, it helps to flex the foot as opposed to letting it relax. You have first option, just push the knee away from you. Right, take the right hand, push that knee away, and that's a wonderful stretch right there. The next option is to interlace the hands behind the left thigh through the hole and pick that figure 4 up off the ground and breathe here. You can take your elbow into the crook of that right knee too if you want to, and just kind of push it away if you need a deeper stretch. Here, since we're not asking for or the need to support our backs as much because they're being supported in the floor, you can let the belly soften here a little bit and allow it to move with the breath just a bit. Nothing too dramatic or obvious, but just relax a little bit, let it rise and fall with the breath. Take 3 more breaths here. We'll go ahead and release and switch sides. Left ankle to the right knee, test it out, see how this feels. We want to try to avoid making any assumptions that we're going to find the exact same stretch the way we did the last time we unrolled our mats. We've changed. So really just the opportunity to be in a beginner's mind. So we begin with just taking the left hand to the left knee, open that wide, maybe flex the foot, see how that feels. And then from there, maybe you decide to grab through the hole behind the right thigh and pick that right foot off the floor, but maybe not. And because you did it on one side doesn't necessarily mean it works for the other side. And then find your breath. Softly let the belly move with the breath. Take 3 more breaths here. And then release. And we'll go ahead and take a hold of the strap. So mine happens to be in a loop, but it doesn't have to be. We're going to place the strap around the ball of the right foot. So not the arch, not the heel, but just beneath the toes, the ball of the foot. And we're going to go ahead and extend that right leg up towards the ceiling, flex the foot. And then if you can, relax or let the hands, if you're using a strap, if you don't have a strap, you can simply hold behind the leg. Okay? If you do, then you let the hands run down the strap, relaxing the shoulders a bit, right? If we're holding up here, up towards the foot, it can create a little bit more stress to the neck and the shoulders, so try to relax that. And then you can decide to keep the left knee bent or extend that left foot along the floor. And if you're extending that leg, try to anchor the back of the left thigh into your mat, which is going to happen if you find that anterior tip of the pelvis. So we want to maintain a little space in the lumbar spine and lengthen that hamstring attachment. You guys have heard me talk about this many times, but really I still see, until we stop being live, I would still see a lot of tucking the tail, trying to get the knee to the nose, tailbone rolling up off the floor and rounding that low back, and you're really losing the efficacy of this stretch. And the whole point of the stretch is that lengthening first, then draw the leg. So yeah, you're not going to get the leg as close. I can pretty much bring my knee to my nose if I round my spine, but now it's because I'm releasing the hamstring, and that's what we're trying to stretch here. So take 3 more breaths here. And then we're going to go from here, we're going to open the left arm out from the shoulder. And then I'm holding my strap, and if you don't have a strap, you'll just hold the leg with your right hand and then open wide to the right. Notice what's going on in the left hip, and if the tendency is for that left buttocks and hip bone to move with you in order to get that leg, so you want to get it closer to the floor, you're going to bring that back up again, place your left hand on your hip bone, so that it might be helpful to have that kinesthetic awareness. Then slowly open the leg to the right and watch what's going on in that hip bone. Keep it square. Keep your pelvis as square as you can. So we're opening up into that inner right thigh. Breathe here. Let's bring that back to center. Take the strap in your left hand, open the right. Now we're going to go ahead and bring that leg to the right, feeling that stretch through the IT band and into the hip. The farther you bring your leg away from you, it can ease that stretch a little bit. The more you pull it towards you and across, it deepens it. It changes for me, it changes what I'm feeling in my hip too. So really just find that just right place. This is a very challenging stretch for me. I don't know about any of you. But you know, this is my tender area, is through my hips and my T-band, so find your breath. Bring that back up to center. And then we'll switch the feet. So place the left foot in the strap, whatever method you have. Place the right foot in the floor, knee bent to begin with. So we find what's going on in the back of this left leg, hamstring. You can start to find the anterior tip of the pelvis here, or maybe it's easier for you to find it as you straighten the right leg. And that's an option, you don't have to straighten it. Try to anchor the back of that right thigh, your hamstring, into the mat. And as before, you're going to find that with that anterior tip of the pelvis. Then maybe begin to move the leg closer to the left leg closer to you, as long as you don't lose that contact. We're going to take the left hand only on the strap or to the leg if you don't have a strap. Extend the right arm. Draw that leg wide to the left. I'm going to have to shift my position here. Pay attention to what's going on in the right hip. Try to keep that hip bone down. Bring that leg back to center. Take the strap in your right hand or hold the leg with your right hand. Left arm extends out and start to draw that leg across the body. So we are letting that cheek, your buttocks, that left buttocks, to come off the floor. Play where the leg is, either away from you or closer to you. Bring that leg back to center and remove the strap. And draw the knees into the chest. Little knees to chest Apanasana. Knee circles. Make sure you circle both directions. And then we're going to go ahead now. We're going to give you some options here. If you have 2 blocks and 2 fascia balls, I'm going to show you how to set up in this next pose. If you don't have any props, any of these, you can simply do bound angle. That's what we're going to do. We're going to come into a bound angle pose. Okay, so we're on our backs. You might want a blanket underneath your head. That's fine. We're going to open. We're bringing the soles of the feet together. Open the knees wide. You don't need any props if you don't want to. The closer the feet are to the groin, the more challenging it is. So the farther away, it's a little easier to open. Maybe notice the opposite. If you have, the first thing you do, if you have fascia balls, we're going to go ahead and place them right on the sacrum, the top of the pelvis or either side of the sacrum. Okay, right next to each other. And you might find one is easier. I'll leave that up to you. And then you can open from here. Okay, so if you don't have 2 blocks, here's your next option. The next choice is to take a block on either side of the knees so they don't open quite as wide. I take mine at an angle, just feels better on my shin. I don't have the edge of the block digging in. Okay. And I open here. So some gentle pressure in the where the fascia bars are, we're just lying on the top of the pelvis, and then we open the knees. Okay. We open the arms out a little ways away from you, palms up. Shoulders back. Once you've settled into your position, we're going to follow the breath here for a moment. Breathing up through the tailbone, all the way up through the spine to the crown of the head. Just, visualize that breath moving all the way up, and then the exhale moves back down the spine to the tailbone. So we inhale up through the spine to the crown of the head, and we exhale back down. So just following the flow of breath, keeping that visual in mind. You can let the belly move with the breath here if you'd like. We're going to stay here for about another minute. slowly draw the knees closed, remove the props. Extend the legs out along the floor. Reach overhead. So just find a nice full body stretch here for a minute. And you can reach through the fingers and toes. And then very mindfully find your way into Shavasana. So notice if you'd like to use any props today, maybe something underneath the knees or underneath the head. You're also welcome to set up your fascia balls underneath the spine somewhere if that would feel nice. So take a moment to find that position. I'm going to come to seated, so I'm going to continue to guide you in Shavasana today. Bring your awareness into the breath once you settle in. And we're going to go ahead and lengthen our exhale. So first, begin to find the breath extended. We're lengthening the inhale maybe to about 85% of capacity. You might even count about a second count. 1, 2, 3. Like counting how long that inhale is, and then create the exhale twice as long. If your inhale is 5, the exhale takes 10 seconds. So just really slowing it down, and just take 10 rounds of breath with that extended exhale. At the completion of those 10 breaths, let the breath fall away. Any manipulation of the breath to release. No shaping of it at all. Allow it to find its own flow. As we take just a few minutes here in silence to rest in the echo of this practice together. Allowing this opportunity to receive the gifts it held for you, to integrate them and carrying them with you into the rest of your day. Bring your awareness back into the breath. Maybe taking a few deep breaths, wiggle some fingers and toes. When you're ready, slowly roll to one side. Take a few breaths there. And then find your way to a seated position just for a moment, bringing our practice to completion. Once you've found your seat, drop your attention into your heart and feel your heart breathing. Just notice the results or the echo or the feelings from this practice, what's residing within you now, what may have shifted from when we began and to who's entering the day at this point. Taking a little inventory and noticing if something needs to shift today. If there's maybe a different choice you need to make as you check in with who's entering the day and all that you have planned, and if there's some adjustments that maybe need to be made in order to honor who this person is right now. So we move through our days with more mindfulness, with more of our choices coming from what's going on internally, and become less distracted with the shiny objects externally. your palms together at your hearts. Honor this time you gave yourself today. May you be at peace. May your hearts remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature, your truth. May you be healed. And may you be a source of healing for all creatures on the planet. Thank you for allowing me to take the seat of teacher. Namaste.